to losing the game. All you can want really from an opening, a pleasant position, a position that you're more familiar with than your opponent. And because you're more familiar with the plans, the tricks, the ideas than your opponent A may use more time, and B may not find the right defense or the right counterplay. Okay, let's go back again to this position after b6, knight bd2. So as we learned, bishop b7 is already somewhat of a mistake. After knight c4, actually the best defense is knight e4 at this stage. But even then, white has a number of ways to continue that's kind of pleasant for white. One is to take dc5 and just simply develop, trying to take the knight on e4 and then put a piece on d6, have a blockade on that pawn. Or the other idea that actually the computers suggest, which is interesting, is to play h4, which is an unusual idea. So it kind of depends on your mood or your temperament, if you prefer a more aggressive play with this or a safer, more solid game by the dc5 on move 7. Okay, let's go back one more time. b6, knight bd2. So here, if black is cautious, black will play d5, preventing that trap that we looked at. And after d5, white will continue with knight e5. Again, the ideas are similar, combining the threats of the check of bishop b5 with bringing the knight maybe to g5. For example, if bishop b7, a mistake, then check. If knight fd7, that loses to queen h5. And if g6, knight g6 takes, and queen e5, an unusual fork attacking the rook in the corner. Of course, the queen is taboo because of the pin. Rook g8 and winning the rook. Very pretty. Or if after a check, black blocks with the other knight, then we're pinning the second knight as well. Too many pins. White is threatening to take either knight and win then the other knight. A sad move, retreating the bishop, but the only one not to lose immediately. And then bishop c6. See how one problem creates the other. Black solved one problem, but disallowed the bishop c6 move, attacking the rook. And now the bishop comes back to f4, and black has serious troubles because after the knight will trade on d7, then the black rook is basically lost. So you can see, even so early in the game, black has a lot of tricks to avoid, lots of traps not to fall into. So in this position after knight e5, black's best option is to play bishop e7, when white can play obviously solidly with c3, but probably better is bishop b5 check. Now the knight naturally cannot block because the queen will be trapped again. So after bishop b5, black must play bishop d7, and then we got the pair of bishops, which is generally a plus, and this case is no different. This knight must take, otherwise if other knight takes, then bishop c6 and bishop b7 traps the rook. So the other knight had to take, and then just play c3, making sure the bishop on b5 will have a retreat safely on d3 and c2 if needed. So basically I think white is slightly better here because white has two bishops, a pair of bishops, a pleasant position. Okay, so let's move back one more time to the position after white played b6 and knight d2. So what did we say? We said if black plays bishop b7, white has a very pleasant position After knight c4, we also said if black plays d5, white plays knight e5, again with a pleasant position. And the third option is to play here bishop e7, which is probably the best of the three options. And in that case, I would recommend to play solidly with h3, making sure after knight h5 moves, the bishop can hide here on h2. Black castles, white would play c3, and just develop and have a solid game.